Welcome to another episode of Pepper Soup Talk, where I bring the shakers and makers out here in the city of Philadelphia and throughout the diaspora. So today we have two special guests, Eboni and Darrelle.
How you doing?
Some of the big time filmmakers out here in the city. You know, we got them out here first before they, blast off, and it will be hard to book them anymore. So once again, thank you for being here, and please introduce yourself very briefly.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for having us once again. My name is Ebony Zamani. I am from Philly originally. I'm a Philly native. I'm from Nicetown originally. I am a filmmaker, a photographer, and a writer. I have been filmmaking and doing photography since I was a teenager. It's actually a program I got in West Philly. Is a spot called Scrap Video Center, for anybody who's familiar. It's a good resource for documentary filmmakers, and they had a youth program where they teach kids how to make documentaries, and that was my entryway in, and I've been doing it ever since then. Hand it off the door.
All right. How y'all doing? Thanks for having us again. My name is Tyrell Williams. I'm also a native of Philly. I've been pretty much born and raised in North Philly my whole life. Like her, I'm an indie filmmaker. I mostly write and directing. How I got started is completely opposite from her. I wanted to be an actor at first. Like that was my original goal. I was like a little kid tagging with my brother. Used to be in plays all the time, and I was through the whole process of auditions to like open night. So I seen the whole process, and eventually all through high school, I kind of fell in love more with the backstage hand of it, and then went to school for it, graduated, and here we are. So.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're so honored to have both of you on our show today. Wow, so Black filmmakers, right? I'm just so proud to say that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how does that feel, and what do you really think, like your purpose in this space? Because I also feel like when you hear that you're a Black filmmaker, you feel like you have to carry this huge burden, right? Like you have to prove something. What's your thought process about being a Black filmmaker?
Well, I feel like
and why's that important?
Yeah, I feel like that's a great question because I feel like that can be loaded depending on who you're talking to and how people intend to utilize that particular title. I feel like it's a privilege. I feel like it's my purpose. With my production company, Pearl's Girl Productions, which is named after my great grandmother, our mission is to produce. Produce motion pictures that talk about and speak to the nuances of Black life in America, and that could be and within that's a variety of things. That's a diverse experience. I feel like our experiences in general are diverse enough to just be dealt with on their own, and so that's my purpose and intention with my particular work. And for me, it's never felt like a burden. I feel like it's a unique perspective because we've so rarely seen it, even being 100+ years into cinema. Because there are a lot of things that are perceived or put out as Black film, or have been over the years, where everybody behind the scenes is white. And so I don't know how much of a Black film or a Black show things can technically be just because you have Black people in front of the camera. I think it's important for our hands to be in all aspects of it, because everything from wardrobe to the script to everything, shapes a show, shapes a film. And so it's not a burden for me. I think it's great to be like in the time that we're in. I say post 2013, where Tyler Perry isn't the only one making films anymore. You have Issa Rae and Ava DuVernay and all of these people coming out, and then you have a lot of great groups and even collectives of Black filmmakers coming out of various cities and various parts of the world. I feel like even, I'm gonna put y'all on a little something too. I'm like, back in the day, so I used to get my hair braided in a lot of African shots. And I used to live for the movies, right? The Shanti Beyonce movies and stuff like that, stuff that was coming out of Nollywood. I'm like, but I feel like even nowadays, like Nollywood and like I live for like Nigerian and South African Netflix. Like,
man,
you know,
that's
you'll be
amazing.
going, you know, you'll go down rabbit holes.
Love it.
And like, there's even that exchange going on there, which is something that I've wanted to do with my productions anyway. So I'm glad to see it's happening, where there were a few Black American actors that are just in a few films, and you know, we're talking about their experience doing Nollywood films for the first time. So it's great to see that exchange happening, you know. But I feel like that in of itself speaks to like how much of a beginning place and stage that we are. So I'm looking forward to and excited to see, like, you know, what's going to come for Black film.
Dang, that's a good one.
I know I do that all the time.
I found that. But yeah, for me, like, yeah, I don't see it as a burden. I see it as a privilege. You know, when you know the history of Black film, it started from Oscar Michaud and Noble Johnson up to now. You know, we've seen on some good shoulders. You know, so for me, it's a privilege to keep that legacy going forward and moving us forward to being able to tell, you know, stories of the diaspora. Like, that's where I'm leaning for, is like being out there in South Africa and filming a movie, or learning about the, you know, Black Canadian experience and filming something out there. Like, for me, that's where being a Black filmmaker for me kind of blossoms at more. Like, all right, let's expand this more, and let's just, you know, just go out there, just kill it, just do any and everything. Of course, we'll see that already, kind of.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think what you said is kind of important to have representation in the industry. I remember growing up in the 90s, 2000s, you know, there was the Wayne brothers, Martin, Boys in the Hood, all that. But in some weird period of time, I feel like all that stopped. I'm not sure if everybody saw the same thing, and now we're seeing a resurgence of that a little bit, you know, with, like you said, Issa Rae. That's what I can think about right now. But there's a couple of them. But more of that turning, and I think, you know, every time some of the throwbacks come back on TV, you have that kind of nostalgic feeling of, oh, Fresh Prince, back in the day we did blah 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 blah, and kind of this new generation, they're doing that for the kids. And I think it's kind of important to what you said, there is more of an impact behind the scene. And not only that, it also helped propel a lot of the Black artists we see today, like Jamie Foxx, the Jamie Foxx show. I didn't know it wasn't doing well until he mentioned it a couple years ago, but still that would propel him when he did, was it Ray? And still, you don't know what you're doing right now can propel some kind of Black actors in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jamie's one of those rare, like, triple threats. He's like, I feel like I don't see why he isn't working constantly. You know, it's rare that people. He's a comedian. He can sing and he can act. And he's one of the best actors. Which is insane. But there was that lull, and it was something that happened in the industry just in general. So like 1993, there were more Black films that came out in 1993, and then there was a 20-year period so 1993 to 2013, where there was absolutely nothing really that was coming out. There was like, it was like Spike Lee did a movie every now and again. Tyler Perry was kind of like doing his own thing, and that was it. But there was that lull in the industry because it wasn't profitable anymore. And so I think that is also something for me that is important about building foundationally for our stories and our narratives, because, you know, what does it mean when, you know, and we talking about 93 was like a crazy, it was like Boomerang and Boys in the Hood and like everything came out. But it's like, you know, when it's no longer profitable or interesting for other people to back and support and to make money off of our stories, then you'll have a complete dry periods. And then for me, that's like insane, you know, because it's like there's so many stories that have not been told about Black people, no matter where you're talking about in the world, in this country, you know. And so I'm just looking forward to being a part of that constantly. It was like TV, everything just like dried up, which was like insane. But yeah, like I said, 2013, that like Issa Rae, Ava DuVernay, and Lena Waithe, and quite a few people just started to emerge, and you know, they were making their own films, making their own shows. It was really like Black people making their own independent like series and digital series and web series, because there were guys out of London. I actually didn't keep up with the show after a couple years, but Brothers with No Gang was the name of that show. It was just as popular as Awkward Black Girl was at the same time that it was coming out. So it was like using YouTube like helped propel like Black independent cinema and stories again. And so, you know, things like that, it's just like it's important to just constantly keep our stories going and have foundational basis for ourselves, because, you know, again, when it's not interesting or profitable for other people, then we're at a loss. And I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, just a follow up on that. So in your career, what you know, you just mentioned YouTube, but what pathways have y'all used to progress, I guess, your mark in the industry or things you have been doing? And on top of that, what kind of I guess genre, what kind of messages are you trying to send with the kind of projects you take on?
Good question. So you want to go first?
Repeat the first question again? I'm not here, so I'm going to the second one. Yeah.
So basically, what mediums have you used, if it's YouTube or whatever, to progress your career so far?
Yeah, for me, it's just been film festivals. I just did my second short film, 2019, was it? Yeah, and I just been going to film festival, and just getting it out there and networking. My next goal is to do YouTube and let's see where that goes. And it's just people I did as far as that.
I didn't have my own production company for a while. My production company is about a couple years old. So before that, I was freelance and I was working with a lot of other people, and I was typically they were putting their stuff on YouTube, and that would do a certain amount of numbers, and then people would follow on Instagram and stuff like that. And then, you know, you build your audience up like slowly like that online. And so I'm working on things like that right now, but I've also just like, I feel like for me, sustainability has just looked like diversifying what I do. Like I've always been interested. I've always like watching a lot of different things, so I've always been interested in seeing like what creating different things would be like, and having my hand in different stuff. So I've done everything from like kids, like PBS oriented like programming. A friend of mine, she was producing a show, and they were successful in getting it on like an online streaming network for kids programming. But it was like PBS style things. We shot at NASCAR, you know, like 5 years ago. And she was like, the premise was, you know, her daughter, you know, being a brown girl, you know, going around to different Black and brown people who had like very interesting jobs, and just talking to them about what they do, and sort of taking, you know, she's going on the job with them for the day. So I was doing like this MTV style show that this other girl had about like just like popping into the lives of like very like interesting underground like cultures and things like that. I've done traditional narrative, I've done documentaries, so I like a lot of different things. And you know, so I've just tried a lot of different things, and I've worked on a lot of different things, and that's helped me sort of maintain.
Yeah, for me, I just stick to narrative stories. I'm a script writing directly. Yeah, for like genre-wise, I'm mainly everywhere but horror and suspense. I know that stuff's too much for me. Yeah, I stick with action, comedy. My last project is a dramedy, and I'm slowly but surely moving over to fantasy in that world. But yeah, that's mainly where I'm at. Like I tried documentary, but it just didn't work for me. I just couldn't do all the emails and all that. I'm like, y'all just leave me alone. Y'all doing too much. Y'all let her do all that stuff.
Documentary is definitely very involved, but yeah, I've done mainly like I would say drama and dramedy outside of like documentary, or like what they call unscripted series. So not necessarily reality TV, but like just, you know, anything that's, you know, in real time. It's not like fictional or characters sort of made up. But yeah, I've mainly done that, and yeah, I'm actually interested. I think Jordan Peele and seeing some other people's work, some connections that I've made to like indie filmmakers in London and Spain and a few other places. I'm like, I'm considering getting into like doing like horror sci-fi in the long run. I think that's gonna be really interesting and really fun. Yeah. And I've never been a fan of horror, but I can respect like a good story. So
yeah.
So
Get Out was cool.
That was cool. Yeah, it was a good movie.
True. And when you're writing or directing, what's your, I guess, your process for creativity or inspiration?
You want to go?
Yeah, sure. I'm usually ladies first, dude. My process starts with like figuring out the world of the characters. and like where do they live at, what's the place like, what's kind of the vibe, what genre it is. And then once I get that, man, I'm good. Get some music on, and I start figuring out the script. Same thing, directing, got music playing. By the time we get on set, I usually have a storybook, everything ready and prepared before we get to set, so I know what it looks like, where the characters need to go. Not how the actors talk, that's their job. But other than that, I kind of have an idea in my head. Like, I can kind of say it that way, but not, but all right, whatever. That's usually my process, just understanding the background, the story, of what the world is, and figuring out what the texture of the project is going to be like, and all that stuff. And then, we on set. It's all fun for me then.
Yeah, by the time you get to production, everything else should pretty much be a breeze.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say my process, like when I'm just starting out any particular story, whether it's narrative or documentary, I'm usually sort of working on some sort of outline. So trying to figure out like what is the story, what am I looking to convey, who are going to be my characters or my talent, who am I focusing the story around, and then just working that out. Usually I have a dump of like ideas or phrases or dialogue that might be interesting and things like that, and then I walk away from it for a while. I'll come back to it. In the meantime, like, I might be doing research if it's a documentary, or I might be, just really trying to like listen to certain music or watch certain things or read certain other scripts for like reference. Because I feel like for me, my process is like taking in things for inspiration, and then also like having time to isolate on my own and like just tapping into like myself and higher power, and then just trying to figure out like, okay, what is this really like? What part of this is going to come from me? Because that I feel like that's a part of that, and then just sort of sorting that out, and then once you have that initial draft, and you'll go through a couple of drafts. You may have people around you read. Other filmmakers, other writers. You might have, I think it's always good to have people read or to talk to people who might be your audience in some way about the story. So whether it's family or friends, just like, if they're sort of in a demographic that you're thinking about for the story, to have them read or to show them maybe a clip and see what they think. And then yeah, you just move on to that sort of final draft, whatever that final draft will be for you to go into production with.
So, like, there's just so many processes to this, right? Because sometimes as a viewer, like, we just go on to pay to see the story, but there's just so much that goes on.
Yes.
And then sometimes I realize the shorter the story, the film, the harder it is, right? So, also, like, being a filmmaker and a writer, not only that you have to sort of, like, come up with this narrative, right? But you also have to market, the marketing aspect of it, right? So it's just so much work that goes into it, and you're not gonna get this big revenue right away, right? You sort of, most of it, like, I can't speak for you, but you go into this field sort of like really broke. Like, how do you it's not just about writing a story, but how can you really get the money to make this happen? So talk to us about that process, but what was a moment in your life or an experience that happened to you that made you realize, like, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to go into?
Yeah, so I might start off with the second half of that and then go into the other portion. So for me, like I said, I think it was just, it's funny because it was like my road to filmmaking wasn't like a straight path. Like I said, I got into this program in high school. I participated in a lot of programs in high school to just stay out of trouble. And not that I was necessarily a troublemaker or anything like that, but it's Philly at the end of the day. It's plenty for you to get into as a kid if you're not occupied. So I was like, I need to get to college because that's going to be my way out. And only way I'm getting to college is if I keep my mind on things that I need to keep it on. So I just was in a bunch of different programs. I tried different things in high school, and the documentary youth project was one of those things. And I really liked that experience. It was like talking to the people who, because it was a documentary and it was about youth in the military. So we talked to a lot of veterans, and a lot of them were like integral parts of the documentary. And, you know, they were really appreciative of us for telling their story, and it was just well received. And so I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, you know, I might be able to do this at some point in time. And so I thought about like maybe taking it up as a hobby or maybe a minor in college, but I always wanted to be a lawyer. And so I had planned to go into college pre-law, and I was looking into like 3-3 programs. I don't know if they still do that, but it was like, you know, you do 3 years pre-law undergrad, 3 years, you know, law school, and then you finish in 6 years as opposed to 8. So I was looking into that type of thing. And when I was applying to colleges, I was talking to all these law students and lawyers, and they like completely discouraged me. And they were like, don't waste your undergrad doing pre-law. Like, you can do anything in undergrad and go to law school. And so I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? Like, I've been talking about doing this since I was a kid. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to go in undecided originally. And then it just so happened that a lot of schools that I was looking into had like film and media programs. And so I was like, you know, I did like that filmmaking thing. So let me just, you know, maybe I can take this up and see what happens, you know. But I still, you know, I'm still sort of minded around like going to law school. And yeah, I just really took a liking to it from there, like college and taking that up as my major and, you know, getting into internships and doing field work and stuff while I was in school. And I was like, yeah, that's the space I've been in ever since then. So that was sort of my road in. I don't think I ever thought, I've always written since I was a kid, and I thought like I might write in some capacity, like I might do journalism or write a book or something like that. But I didn't see myself screenwriting or being in film until I was older. So, but as far as your other questions, so filmmaking is a profitable career. So, we'll try to keep it short. It happens. It takes a while. I think that the internet has changed the game, so I will say that. I will preface with that and say that it has changed the game, and it is a lot easier as an independent filmmaker or somebody who's in like, you know, a smaller company, whether it's your own or somebody else's, to figure out how to, you know, make your films profitable. There are sort of easier roads in to like, especially online streaming services like Amazon Prime and Netflix and stuff like that. If you have a local connect or somebody from their offices that you sort of correspond with, and you know, you make yourself known. You know, I'm a filmmaker. This is what I have going on. You know, you either set things up with their lawyers or your lawyers. If you have legal representation, you should at some point in time, especially when you start talking to bigger networks and people with money and things like that. You don't want to, you know, end up in a certain situation where, you know, you're selling your work for no money, or you know, people are taking your rights or to your work from up underneath of you. So you want to license things out, copyright everything
immediately,
and then license things out. Don't ever sell your work. I that's what I tell people. I know some people do, and that's their prerogative. It's your work. License it out. Don't sell it. So you know, you can sort of make those connections, and you know, you might come up with some sort of deal with like Amazon Prime for like, you know, one film for like $10,000 or something like that, for example, depending on what the breakdown is, what the contract is like. With networks and stuff like that, because a lot of them have their own digital platforms and stuff like that. You can work out similar deals, so you can make things profitable depending on how you want to distribute your content. I feel like film festivals can be somewhat profitable. I feel like that's more of a networking, and like sometimes film festivals, if you win a prize or your film is well received, they come with cash prizes, and so that could be a way to sort of make money. Like I said, you can always sell your films if you so choose. You can sell scripts, and so if you're a person who writes and directs and produces, because not everybody does, you know, but if you also are a writer and whatever else you may be on a film set, then you can always look into selling scripts. You can also, so every year, networks, for example, like Hallmark, we all know, you know, we're familiar with the network. They are always, all year long, gonna be looking for some sort of rom-com, love story, and especially the holidays, they looking for all types of scripts, all types of things. Now they're going to send you out, guidelines. If you're in talks with, one of their people, they're going to send you out guidelines for this is what we want in a Hallmark film, But you can create something, create your pitch that are within those guidelines, and you correspond back and forth. And if they like your script, then they pay you for that script, So there are different ways for you to make money. It's just, it can take a while, especially, and it's mainly because it's so much about relationships and making contacts and putting yourself out there and being known. So that's the importance, I think, of doing local media, doing media shows, of doing film festivals, of going to networking events, even if they're like for traditional like entrepreneurs or people with certain career paths. Like, put yourself out there, because you never know, how you might be able to make a connection, make a film. You might end up with a producer for somebody who, they might just be a lawyer or something, and you talk them up real good at a networking event one day, and they're like, oh, you do this show, I really like it. You send them a clip or a trailer, and they're like, oh yeah, I'd be interested in funding this. Here's $20,000. You know what I mean? So, and of course, again, work out your paperwork and get all of that sorted out. But there's just like no real one path. There's a lot of different ways you can, but you definitely have to put yourself out there and have a portfolio to show people, to talk up.
It's good.
Yeah, it's work. It's and also grants and fellowships and getting into those kind of programs. Just like you said, there are different ways. Just getting the opportunity to be in the room when those things are happening. And to answer your other question, I guess it's a deep answer for me. It's because like I was saying earlier, I was always kind of in the art world. So I will always say I didn't choose art chose me. So I'm kind of just here in a way doing it, and in a way it's therapeutic for me too. Like, it kind of just kept me out of trouble. It kind of helped me deal with a lot of stuff I dealt with during high school and growing up and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm just kind of in the industry doing it because I love it, and it's always been a part of my life. And everything she said about the money and stuff like that too. I can repeat all of it.
Right.
The same thing. But yeah, it's just that's just the deepest way I can describe it. It's kind
I didn't realize you started out in plays. I didn't remember that being the case. I technically started out like writing plays too, like writing little plays for I was writing little stuff, and then like we would like play it out either like in the neighborhood or like at school a couple times.
Yeah.
Like I did well like academically when I was younger, so like my English teachers, like after a certain point in the year, they would just be like, "It's no point in you doing anything else. You've done everything." So they would just let me do whatever, and I would just like write plays, like while like everybody else was taking tests or something. And then at the end of the year, I would talk them into letting my friends or classmates play, play out my my play. But like the last couple of weeks of school, it don't be as much going on.
I didn't do that.
I want to get back in the theater.
What's crazy? I just started like counting that part.
Yeah.
As my career. Like, I did start out like a little kid in theater.
You got to.
Like, I never really counted before. I didn't think it was like, a professional kind of thing, but it is.
That's how you started in the art.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think that's what's interesting to me about filmmaking too. Like, filmmaking is, I always say it's an art and a science. Because you have to be able to like be creative and be uninhibited and just sort of make sense of the story or whatever you're looking to convey, both written and visually. And then I think it's more of a science than a math with the business side. You know what I mean? With all of the technical things and all of the like some of the things I was just mentioning. It's really not a like 2 + 2 = 4. So many different sort of things, but then you sort of come up with the same results depending on so.
So real quick, like just any type of venture or entrepreneurship opportunities, there's up and downs and difficulties getting that, I guess, profit or making it to a certain level or whatever your goal is. What's some of the incremental, let me say, milestones or things that happen that keeps you going even though there's ups and downs in your journey?
I think for me, I'm like,
my story is long.
That's cool. I think for me, it's really just about like, I feel like all those times when things get rough, and like I grew up rough, so I'm like, my rough is an adult with like a degree and a few other things under my belt. I'm like, this ain't really rough, you know, like things I've experienced, you know, crazier, so or like worse. But I feel like my worst, like, or lowest sort of points as an adult so far, it's like I'd be like, now is it time to tape out? Or y'all trying to tell, like, university trying to tell me something of what's going on, and then something will pop right back up. Like I'm like, all right, long as we good, long as I'm still on this path I need to be on, you know. So I feel like that's sort of what happens. It's like just recently, earlier this year, like, I mean, COVID's been kicking my ass personally. I don't know about many other people, but like professionally, financially, personally, like just, it's been crazy. The last year and a half for me. And so recently I was like in a low period again, trying to figure some things out. And it was just like, one of my short films that I worked on last year, the end of last year, got into like 4 festivals. And sometimes, you know, festivals come with like a little monetary gift or award. So that helped, you know. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm be good for a couple months with the bills and everything. And then, you know, and then, yeah, just some work opportunities came up. Last year was like, right before COVID had happened, because I was like, just like actually personally coming out of, like recovery from like my own personal issue before COVID. I was like, you know, like, all right, I'm gonna start the businesses, and you know, I started doing my own work again, and wasn't working for hire as much. Just wanted to like work on some of my own stuff. I was like, you know, self-funded, so just, you know, working using my own money. And things was getting low again, and I'm like, all right, so what's the plan? What I'm gonna do? And so I started just like applying for things again, and I ended up getting a call from this diversity program through that they were doing with HBO, and they were like, yeah, you know, we're looking for people, you know, to try to match up for shows that are happening locally in your region. And I'm like, what's taping right now? Like, I didn't know anything was taping in the region. And Mary Easttown, a show that was, it's been some like stuff around it, but Kate Winslet starred in it. It was for that show, and so I ended up being on crew in the locations department for that, and then like 2 other gigs came up behind that, you know. So it's stuff like that. It's usually like, I'm like, all right, things drying up again. I'm trying to keep this going right now. What's going to happen? And then something will come up, and I'm like, all right, as long as I'm cool, you know, because it's no rubric, it's no measure. It's completely different. Like, I worked most of my life, like I worked since I was a young boy, for real. So I was like 10, I always had like something that I was doing to like make money and get money, nothing illegal. I was gonna tell people, I'm like, I stayed out of that particular thing, but you know, had some sort of money. Teenager, I worked my way all the way through college, so I had always had a full-time job and was just doing whatever else I wanted to do. And then 3 years ago, it was just like time, you know what I mean? And so left my day job, and just the last 3 years have just been like doing it. But like, I worked for so long for other people and was just trying to like maintain, and that's what I knew how to do. That's what I saw people, the adults in my life do in my life. You know, you want to work, find a job, and you know, figure it out. But it was nothing that I was passionate about doing. You know what I mean? I could work all day long. We know how to work. Black people know how to work. You know, so you know, I was just like, you know, I want to invest my time in things that I feel like I'm purposed and intended to do, and I had to like walk away from that, and it was difficult because you just used to the consistency of a paycheck, benefits, whatever else. But I knew it was time. It was that year. It was like literally I had worked so long. I worked so long as a young person that literally I got my letter in the mail from Social Security. They was like, you've worked enough that you gained all of your points. Like, so I'm going to be able to collect my, I'm like, I want them to give it to me early. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be around when we're 65. Okay? But I had collected it, you know, by the time I was 28. And I was like, I think it's time, you know, so.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, that didn't give enough time.
It did. Oh, man. Okay. So there was a time in my life where I wanted to quit. Like I was on my way out. I was about to become a wrestler. I was about to be like, done. That was actually too. I knew I was a trained dad. I knew my character. I knew all that. I was on my way out. Cause nothing was happening. I was like trying to make a feature film, couldn't get it funded, couldn't find the right cast for nothing. And I was just like, all right, this obviously is not for me. So I'm just like, I'm not doing it. But like the weird part is I was working in the play at the same time. So I couldn't just leave, even though I wanted to. So I was stuck in it until I eventually had to do a Scribe Video Center production workshop, and that's kind of how I did my film. And that milestone alone for me is what keeps me going. It's like, all right, I don't want it to leave. Like I was on my way out. No way, like it was no way for me to do it. Like nothing was telling me, all right, go for it, just go and leave. You know, like I would try, and then something else would happen. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like, all right, clearly this is God's way of having me here on this path, so I'm gonna rock with it and just keep going. And then that short film got into festivals. I'm like, all right, we're good, okay. We here, the little small stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, that's fine. I done been at my worst now, so anything figuring one out is just roadblocks now. Yeah.
It's just incredible when you talk to. We had so many guests in this show, but like talking to you guys is always like you're dropping a lot of gem. It's like being a filmmaker is just like there's just so many different outlets, so many things you guys go through.
Yeah.
And I think like you don't have to be a filmmaker to really get this message, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like you're gonna have your high and low with anything that you do. Mm-hmm. But it's just like I love hearing it, but you guys continue to celebrate the small wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you stay like you come in this show, you bring like we asking you guys some sad questions. like I'm talking about like your struggles and stuff, but you guys still coming back with positive. I'm looking at Toby. I'm like, Toby, come on, come on, man. But
that's all right. That's Philadelphia spirit.
like,
Boy.
No
matter what.
Yo, Philly's different. Philly is resilient.
Yes.
But this is why we love the city.
Yes.
But let's talk about some of the success. Like, talk to us about the current project that you're working on right now, and what was that project that was sort of like a turning point for you?
Okay.
All right, cool. So my current project is called. The title was left one time. It's called Dear Life You Suck. Mm-hmm. It is a drama comedy series, and it's about being in your mid to late 20s, dealing with quarter life crisis, being stuck in life and trying to figure out how to get in and deal with it, and trying to find your own way. But it's told through the lens of like different characters, like more than one particular person is having this kind of midlife crisis, and that's like the turning point story for me, because that's what I've been through. Like, that's something that's personal to me. That's kind of how the story became its own thing. I was dealing with my own midlife crisis, dealing with depression, anxiety, having, thoughts of suicide, all that stuff, went to therapy, worked out that really fast, thank you. Thankfully, I'm doing. And that telling that story is so like therapeutic, because it's, expressing what I've been going through, in a sarcastic kind of way. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, so Darrelle will be showing Their Life You Suck. That's the pilot episode for his web series, and I'll be showing my short crime dramas called Cold Kill. Mm-hmm. It's actually the first time I've directed and produced somebody else's writing. So it's a story from a screenwriter in Virginia, an older gentleman who's actually in the film and will also be presenting Danielle DeLoach's film, Hearts to the Sun. So you'll get a triple feature from us next Thursday, October 21st at 7 p.m. It'll be playing at the Ritz Theater. It's also going to be, yes, I'd like to get your tickets. It's also going to be available online that same day. It'll be available online and through that entire weekend, so like video on demand. And yeah, we're excited. It's been a long time coming. It's actually going to be my first time showing my work in like a proper film theater in the city. So that's gonna be dope. And because prior to that, it was just like showing things in like small art galleries or art venues and things like that. So yeah, this is gonna be exciting. We're excited to show people our work and support if you can. Eventbrite link will be somewhere. Somewhere.
Get your friends to get their tickets.
Yes. And that's the film that I have coming out next week. And right now I've just like wrapped some like pre-production stuff for it's a few different documentary projects I'm working on, an environmental justice doc and about like just environmental issues in and around the city of Philadelphia. And I'm also working on like a genealogy doc documenting some of my own journey to like my own journey of discovering my heritage and ancestry and where my people are from and things like that. So it's cool. I'm excited and nervous about all of these things, and it's always a lot going on, but it's good. It's good to be working and to be doing what you love to do.
That's amazing. Well, make sure you send us a link.
Yes.
Because we definitely want to make sure that we send that out to our viewers, people. So we could show up, all right?
Yes.
And make sure they actually buy their tickets.
Yes. Even online too. I'm like, you can't come to Philly, you can't come in person, get that online ticket.
So $15.
We are incredibly, again, grateful to have both of you on our show.
Yes.
So please send us the link to that Ritz show. We're not far from it, so I definitely will make sure if I could make it, I'll be there because I'm excited to actually it's one thing talking to you guys, but I want to see your work. So hopefully our viewers feel the same way. So basically, we always sort of ask our viewer this one questions. If what age we just the world is just spinning around you. Let's say when you're 12 years old, 13 years old. When you're 12 and 13, imagine the 12-year-old you sitting in front of you right now, given everything that you've been through and given everything that you know now. What would you say to the 12-year-old version of you right now?
Oh man, a couple of things. One,
take your time, though.
Yes.
Sometimes we ask questions and we want to give you a little bit of time to process.
Yes.
Everything you know now, what would you say to him or her?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 13 is stressful. I would say don't ask for permission. For me as a kid, I was I want to do it, but no one gave me the guts to do it. For me, I'll easily say, man, just go for what you want in life. Don't ask for permission for nothing.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
As far as your goals in life. For me, it was always for filmmaking. Again, I didn't see so many filmmakers around me in Philly doing it, so I didn't know I could do it. And then someone say, yeah, man, this the dude you still do the right thing. No, that's the right thing. Oh, word, you do that? You go ahead and do it. Don't ask for permission, just go for it. Don't wait for a green light. If nobody tell you anything, you want it, you research it, figure it out, and go for it.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
For sure.
Real quick, do you mean permission from peers, parents, or just society, or from where you were living at the moment?
We going there. Okay.
I'm glad Toby asked that question. Coming from an African household and black household. Sometimes you gotta ask permission. Unless you pay the bills.
I mean society too.
Okay.
Of course, parents are gonna have their opinions. They support, they don't, they do, they don't. This kind of thing is, this their life, it's your life kind of thing. But yeah, for society reasons, don't wait for nobody to tell you. Just go for it.
Yeah, no, I would agree in that. I understand where you're coming from with that, because I feel like a lot of times, especially when you may be from a marginalized group, we're always waiting for somebody to, tell us to go, or this is okay, or this is valid. And you just have to have it within yourself enough to be I'm dope. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is valid. and I'm gonna just go with it. You know what I mean? And so yes, I feel you on that. For me, I think it'd be a couple things. One, I would say, put your jersey dress up because you're gonna lose it. And I love the early O's. Being a kid, listen, being a kid in Philly in the early O's was lit. I don't care what nobody say. I miss it, honestly. Like, and then like I grew up, huh?
Was it Sixers jersey?
I'm sure it was. And you know, like I grew up around the corner from like Chris and Neef when like state property was like everywhere, so like was like ruling everywhere. So it was like it was just great time. Like those summers and things was just like great time. So like I wish I would have put it up somewhere because I would have kept it. But also I would say like seriously, it gets better. And I think that being a young black girl, I was going through puberty around that time, questioning myself a lot. My hair has always been natural. So like it was just a lot of madness going on with like identity politics and having to like go back and contend with our own folks and other people around like, you know, what's deemed valuable, beautiful, and all of these things. You know, internally going through a lot because there was like so much going on like in my life personally and with family and stuff like that. And you know, I wasn't in the best space mentally and emotionally at that age. And so just being able to tell my younger stuff like it gets better, and you know, there's just you just need time to like know and really understand it. Like when you're young, it can feel so much, especially when you come from like certain environments. It can feel so much like everything is closing in around you, and you don't have many options or much. You know what I mean? But it was just like I just wish that I would have had that adult or that constant like, you know what I mean? Like you good, it'll be better, it'll get better, things will make sense as time goes on. So I think that would be it for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Just one more question before we go. Forgot to ask this earlier on. I think we got connected through Taste of Africa.
Tastemakers Africa.
Tastemakers Africa, my bad. Did either of you travel to the continent already or planning to?
I want to.
I'm not gonna talk about what was supposed to happen and hasn't happened. It's been like my trip to the continent has been 3 or 4 years in the making, but it's okay. It's gonna happen when it's meant to happen. I just have to chalk that up. But yeah, I'm absolutely going. I don't know when. I don't know where exactly. I had a couple friends from college. They've been playing with me. One of them is from Guinea. One of them is from Uganda. I'm like, y'all playing. We've been talking about this for years. You're supposed to have been take me, but it's okay. I'ma go. I'm like, see, I'm gonna go to Ghana by myself, and then I'm gonna be like, right, because I'm not playing with y'all. So one of these days, it's gonna happen sooner than later. I'm putting it out there, some type of way. Sooner than later, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, same for me. I want to go so bad. I want to go, man. I've been like, I was supposed to go to South Africa in college for an undergrad class, but that didn't work out. I was kicking myself since that day.
Listen, I feel like they played around though, because like the school that I went to, so like I wanted to do study abroad too.
Yeah.
And the programs that I looked into, first of all, they had so many programs for Europe and Asia. And there was only 2 programs for Africa.
Yeah.
One was in Kenya, one was in South Africa. So me and my friend, we applied for both of the ones in Kenya and South Africa. And like the Kenya program, like just like went dark, like for no goddamn reason. And then like South Africa, they were like, oh, it's too dangerous for you all to, we can't make this connection yet. And I was just like, it was just suicide bombers in London. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's just always this weird, like, fetishistic, like, foreign, like, Africa's this dangerous, dark place. That's annoying. So I was supposed to do an exchange program too, and it didn't work out. But that's what I said. Everything works out in the time that it's meant to work out. So I know sooner than later, I'm gonna touch down on the soil. I'm excited. I'm documenting everything. When I go, I know I'm gonna cry like a baby. So
I know for me, I definitely got to go to the Ivory Coast, like that particular spot, because that's where my family's from. That's what I found out through my cousin doing like our family history all the way back to our ancestors, so we can kind of know where Africa we're from. So I kind of want to go there and just feel it. What is it like there? And what does it feel like? What does it look like? What's the energy like?
Same.
It's good. I mean, I just love how you guys just wanna looking into the continent as well, because there's also so much content coming out of Africa right now.
Yes, I want to work. I'm like, listen, because I know y'all got a large audience. Where's the camera? Listen, anybody in Nollywood, Ghana, South Africa, y'all making movies, you're looking to hire, listen, call us out.
Netflix is killing it right now.
I mean, it's just an exciting time for us.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the different platform. It's so amazing to hear, like, as a filmmaker, like, they was just concerned with the pandemics, but there's so many ways to actually like make it into this industry now. And it's just so powerful to see like some of the faces, the black faces, like Taylor Perry, for example, building a whole like, infrastructure, right? Can I just, what does that mean? Like, how do you feel about that when you find out like he built a whole like whole like filmmaking industry?
I know a lot more people have respect for Tyler Perry after seeing that. I didn't know. I personally wanted to know because I feel like I've prided myself in keeping up on like all things that's happening like black film in America specifically. And I was like, well, when was he doing? He got a whole how many acres? Like, when was he doing this? Like on the low, like what? And then when I saw like clips and pieces from the grand opening and everything, I was like, I still have $1 million, but I was like, oh, I'm going. I don't know if they're gonna be able to get me off the line. Like what? I was like, that's insane. But like it's like it just goes to show you that like it's possible. Anything you put your mind to and put yourself to, put your work and heart in, can happen. So he actually has, and I must say it's a shock to me because he actually has the largest studio in the country. Like it's larger than Warner Brothers lot, anything that's in LA or in California right now. And that's just like, I don't know how that happened, but shout out to him. I'm like without a fuss, cause like even when cable was becoming a thing, like Ted Turner, who TBS is, most people know that channel. That was his like network originally, and he owns other channels now. And he also owned the what was it, ECW or whatever that WCW. Yeah. So I was like that other wrestling, because I don't even ever really watch like WWF.
I'm a diehard wrestler.
Right. So like WCW, he owned that wrestling company too. But like when he was starting out, it was only the big three, so like 3, 6, and 10 were like that's our channels here: CBS, ABC, NBC, and they fought him tooth and nail, long court dates and things like that. So I was just shocked to see that he had done what he did and wasn't in some long drag out sort of court battle or public sort of lashing from like any of the other existing studios. So I don't know. Tyler might got some people in his head or something. I don't know, but it's amazing. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. I think you're probably more about Netflix and Tyler Perry.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true, because Netflix definitely came through. They all thought they was playing, Blockbuster included, right?
No, Netflix took over quick.
Netflix, and they was about to go under before the pandemic. They was about to go under. Netflix was like in crazy amounts of debt, because a lot of times, a lot of these new startup tech companies and media companies, like especially when they run by white boys, they end up getting that like $1 billion valuation so early on. But it's no way for them to really know like 3 or 4 years out, is this going to be sustainable? So like Netflix was like about to run on E, and then the pandemic hit. And that was like, it was up for him. Like, can't nobody go to the movie theaters? Oh, y'all gotta watch this online now. So that was crazy. They ain't going nowhere now.
Yeah, they're not. So we just close out with this again. We just so grateful to share this moment with you. What do you guys see yourself like in like 5-10 years from now? And what like success is not a destination, it's a journey. But can you share your future plan with us?
Yes, I'm looking forward to opening studios.
We be following you on Instagram.
No, I'm looking forward to opening.
I know both of you guys gonna blow up. When you blow up like Netflix, don't forget to.
I'm gonna come by.
Gotcha.
Because I've been singing that drink, so started from the bottom. I'm there with you.
No, we appreciate it. I'm definitely a person that don't forget those who were there at the very beginning. So, I'm 5 to 10 years out. I'm looking forward to. I want to open my own studios. I want to expand into some other areas. I'd like to open, a couple of stores, photo, video stores, and stuff like that. I have a lot of plans. Like I want to, make those connections throughout the diaspora to expand outside of America, and really have everything be black owned and operated from top to bottom. That's my goal. with my sort of media conglomerate. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that and seeing like where things go with that.
Similar but different. Similar but different. I'm definitely want to own my own studio, a few studios, like kind of the same, like tell stories and have films and TV series and on my own channel, hopefully. Like I said earlier, I want to be able to be global. I want to be able to tell stories outside of America as far as with diaspora as well. I'm trying to be like Pixar meets A24 meets Disney, all kind of chase together. And like, for 10 years from now, I definitely want to open my own academy, my own film school, so young black kids can go to one and learn how to be a filmmaker, director, writer, wardrobe person, whatever they want to do. It's gonna be there. So yeah.
All right. And then for our viewers wants to continue to follow you and follow your work, where can they find you?
Yes, so most things, if you look me up, Ebony Zamani is Ebony with an I at the end, Zamani. And that's just a chosen artist name for me. If you look me up on most things, you'll find me. But I'm on Instagram at Film Fanatics, so fanatic with a PH instead of a F. And then, yeah, same thing with like Instagram. You can follow my production company. It's Pearls Girl Productions. So like whether you find my personal page, you'll be able to like find the production company page. And I also have like a boutique photo video services company. So I do like photography, videography, myself and a few other people for, you know, businesses or people's like life events. So like engagements, you know, bridal showers, baby showers, stuff like that. But yeah, most I'm on most platforms. I think I'm finally begrudgingly gonna have to get on TikTok. And so yeah, most places you look me up, just for the production company though, but most places you look me up, you'll be able to find me online.
Yeah, I'm mainly only on Instagram at D_Williams _film life. That's my personal one for my artsy stuff. My the project, the series is Dear Life Film on Instagram.
All right. So you gonna close this out?
Sure. Again, just want to appreciate it for coming through here. Definitely, you know, we're joking, you know, gonna be big time, but we do believe you're going somewhere. Once again, we appreciate it, and you know, we see y'all next time on Pepper Soup Talk.
Yeah. So again, give us a feedback. Give us a thumbs up. If you feel some type of way, that's okay. Give us a thumbs up. Tell us why. All right. You can't just give a thumbs down like that. You gotta tell us why. Again, continue to follow our talk show. We're very excited for who's gonna come on the next show. But thank you so much for coming on our show. We have 3 amazing, incredible black filmmakers.
Yes.
So this is huge. Stop by Rich this weekend. What is it?
Next week, next Thursday.
Next Thursday. So we'll get more information and we'll send that out to you. All right. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank y'all. That was good.